Yes, colonial rule introduced several new art forms, style, materials, and techniques which were creatively adapted by Indian artists for local patterns and markets in both elite and popular circles, you will find that many of the visual forms that you take for granted today, say a grand public building with domes, columns, and arches, a science landscape, the realistic human image in a portrait or in popular icons of gods and goddesses, a mechanically printed and mass produced picture had their origins in the period we will discuss in the chapter next. When you look at a work of art, a painting, etc., it may not be obvious that, like most other things, art too is influenced by the world around it. You may not realize that what you see also shapes your own ideas. In this chapter, we will be looking at the change in the world of visual arts during the colonial period and how these changes are linked to the wider history of colonialism and nationalism. Next, when the British captured Bengal, they framed many new laws to regulate the rules regarding marriage, adoption, inheritance of property, etc. Social reforms had to discard the ancient text in order to argue for reform in social practices. Reforms got full support from all sections of the people of the countries. The Child Marriage Restraint Act was passed in 1829. How did the knowledge of ancient texts help the reforms promote new laws? What were the different reasons people had for not sending girls to school? They were Christians, missionaries attacked by many people in the country. Would some people have supported them too? If so, for what reasons? In the British period, what new opportunities opened up for people who came from castes that were regarded as low? How did Jyoti Rao the reform justify their criticism of caste inequality in society? Why did Phule dedicated the book Galangmari to the American movement to free slaves? What did Ambedkar want to achieve through the temple entry movement? Why were Jyotirao Phule and Ramaswamy Nikayar critical of the national movement? Did their criticism help the national struggle in any way? Next, from the 18th century, a stream of European artists came to India along with the British trader and ruler. The artists brought with them new style and new conventions of painting. They began producing pictures which became widely popular in Europe and helped shape Western of India European artists. brought with them the idea of realism. Next, this was a belief that artists had to observe carefully and depict faithfully what the eye saw. What the artist produced was expected to look real and lifelike. European artists also brought with them the technique of oil painting, a technique with which Indian artists were not very familiar. Oil painting enabled artists to produce images that looked real. Next, not all European artists in India were inspired by the same things. The subjects they painted were varied, but invariably they seemed to emphasize the superiority of Britain, its culture, its people, its power. Let us look at a few major trends within imperial art. Looking for the picturesque, a picture printed onto paper from a piece of wood or metal into which the design of drawing has been cut. Next, one popular imperial tradition was that a picturesque landscape painting. What was the picturesque? This style of painting depicted India as a quaint land to be explored by traveling British artists. Its landscape was rugged and wild, seemingly untamed by human hands. Thomas Daniel and his nephew William were the most famous of the artists who painted within this tradition. They came to India in 1785 and stayed for 7 years, journeying from Calcutta to northern and southern India. They produced some of the most evocative picturesque landscape of Britain's newly conquered territories in India. Their large oil paintings on canvas were regularly exhibited to select audience in Britain, and their album of engravings were eagerly brought by up a British public need to know about Britain's empire. Stop.